Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening, or good afternoon, or good morning, depending on when you're listening to this. This is the 51st of hopefully many episodes of Bard Advice, a D&D slash TTRPG slash nerd life podcast where I, Charles Chaz Yazik, the DM, the Bard, however you may know me, do my best to dispense advice for your questions, things that you send over to our email, which we will talk about as we like to do at the top. Hope everybody is having a good evening. Sorry, I'm moving things around, so I'm all over the place. At the top of the show, we like to remind everyone of the email. It's bardadvice@gmail.com. It also looks like bardadvice. If you have any questions, concerns, critiques, criticisms, compliments, complaints, send them all over to bardadvice@gmail.com. If you'd like some merchandise, you can get some over at manshorts.com. And if you'd like to contribute to anything that I am doing musically, notably my third album was just released, Organized Lightning, and is available everywhere, you can contribute to that directly via PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo, all of which are Yazik, Y-A-H-Z-I-C-K. Before we get started and before I forget, quick shout out to my sister-in-law who got me this cool D&D t-shirt, which you'll be able to see better in this week's episode because I wore it. So thank you for that, Rachel. And before we get into Art Corner, just wanted to mention again, I think we touched on it last week, but I'd like to touch on it at the top this week. There is, I've linked in the description, a link to a GoFundMe for our friend Avram, friend of the pod, who had an unfortunate accident recently, which has done some damage to his hand and made it very difficult, if not impossible, for him to work. So if you can contribute anything to that, it is the season of giving. I've linked it in the description. Go check that out. And I think that is all of the stuff that I wanted to talk about right up front. For Art Corner this week, I wanted to talk about something that I should have talked about probably 6 weeks ago and totally don't know why I missed it. So there is an EP project that was released by a friend of mine, Bo, the rapper who was, he accompanied me on Peerless Skill, and he is also on my new song, Rapid Blitz. He's from the Arizona area. He just recently released this 5-song EP back, I think, at the beginning of November. Probably should have promoted it for him then, but hey, we're promoting it now. He also, on his channel, has, on his YouTube channel, rather, does weekly streams on Saturday evenings where he does live music reviews. So if you're interested in any of that, go check it out. I've put his link tree in the description so that you could check that stuff out further. Also, I'm just noticing here that River did put a link to the Discord in the chat. So if you are in the chat and you'd like to join the Discord where we talk a little bit after the podcast usually, then you can go and do that. So, hello everybody. Hello, Flint, Ruby, River, Pirate, Ron, Ruby, Daryl, Avram, all the regulars back at Bard Advice where everybody knows your name. All right, so I think that's all of the stuff for the beginning, right? We did the Art Corner, did all of that stuff. Now, I do want to talk about some stuff. Probably going to have maybe a little bit longer than usual chat this week just because I want to, well, mostly because we have 5 questions as opposed to the usual 6 or 7. We don't have any follow-ups, but I've got some characters I wanted to talk about as well as just some like scattered things that we could talk about later in the eve once we get through the questions. The PG-3 videos have been hilarious. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've had a lot of fun doing those. I think that those are pretty funny. You're in my neck of the woods for the week. Oh, yeah? You appear in the Ville? I'm sorry. Hope that you enjoy it. Yeah, so there's the link for the GoFundMe is in the description as well as it's in the chat there. So if you're in the generous spirits, go help out Avram. All right, let's get into it. So we've got, like I said, 5 questions this week, and Ocala. Oh no, that's even worse. So let's get into it. The first one this week is from Cam, and let's talk about it. Cam asks, "Hello, DM. Thanks for the podcast. I've been a Man Shorts fan since season 2, and I'm looking forward to the newest Christmas edition. That is, if you're doing one. Yeah, probably. Anyway, I'm sure you get tons of holiday one-shot questions this time of year, so here's mine. For our holiday one-shot, I'm taking inspiration from your Easter episode and allowing players to retain any loot from the session and apply it to one of their characters in our other ongoing campaigns. So, what are some fun, thematic rewards or loot options they could find? Thanks in advance, and Merry Christmas. Well, Merry Christmas to you as well, Cam. Thank you for the question. So, this is an interesting one as to... First of all, I think that's cool that you took inspiration from that video. I always thought that was a cool idea, and I've never done that as a DM in a real game, but I think that's neat to do. If I had like an ongoing campaign that was, going on over the course of like several months or years, and then you were to do like a one shot that was kind of completely unrelated, I got the cleary throats tonight. That's the official medical terms, the cleary throats. But so here's some things that I wrote down. I had some ideas just for like Christmas themed stuff. Sack of holding. I've seen a couple, and that's one of the ones that I was gonna say. I said Santa's bag of holding, because I mean that's not even, you don't even have to convert that for D&D. That's just what Santa's bag is. Boots of Silent Night, bonus to stealth. Different like Santa hats, or maybe even like a full suit that offers powers or abilities. Candy cane or tree themed swords or hammers. An ornament that when worn as an amulet gives the wearer a bonus or effect. What else is going on in chat? A piece of jewelry that punctuates all of the wearer's sentences with Christmas music. Instead of cloud of daggers, cloud of tinsel. I spam cloud of daggers so much. It's so good in Baldur's Gate 3. I do it all the time. If I'm in a fight, there's a cloud of daggers somewhere on the field. Peppermint guns summons and fires peppermints as bullets. Can use yourself for minty fresh breath to get a diplomacy bonus. Nice. Brick of invisibility coal that only works at night. Yeah. That's good stuff. Yeah, I think that we definitely will do another Christmas. I think we always do a Christmas edition. Not every single year, but as often as we can. And I think this year, when does the Sunday fall? Oh, it falls on Christmas Eve. So we'll definitely be doing a... Wow. We're earlier in the month than I thought. For some reason, I thought that we were on the second week of December. And I mean, I guess technically we are, but you know what I mean. I thought that it was like the 13th or 14th, but it's the 8th. A very, very large bag of holding. Mistletoe tea makes whoever drinks fall under your charm. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. An ornament grenade launcher. Yeah, I think any of those are cool. And, you can always, like, reskin stuff from existing properties, too. So, a little late. Well, no worries. Welcome. Remember, you're not late if you're here. That's the standard that we tend to go by, or try to go by, at least. But yeah, I think that there's something for you in there. As for the different loot options, we're in the second week of December. Walk across your stage of graduation next Friday. Nice. Congrats. Summon Christmas tree spell. Yeah, I think the spells might even be more fun to do than actual things that they award. But I don't know really how you would award a spell. I mean, I guess if it's a scroll, the wizard can learn it, yeah? Christmas tree feather tokens. Staff of Magi, statue of a reindeer. All right. Well, thank you for the question, Cam. Oh man, I really hope I'm not getting a cold. Oh, holy darts. All right. So, thank you for the question, Cam. Hopefully you got something out of there. We'll move on to the next one, which is from Justin. I don't have enough Justins in my orbit, I guess, so I've got a question from one. Justin asks, oh, no, you know what? We skipped one. Well, that's fine. We could do this with we could do Amanda's. Amanda asks, if you could spend the day with one person, dead or alive, who would it be and why? Man, sorry, gang. I put all this together like right before we started, and I'm not as organized as I thought I was, but we'll just go into Amanda's question because that's fine. I wanted to talk about that too. So I put 3 people for this because there was no shot that I was going to be able to decide And honestly, everybody that I put is dead. So maybe I didn't fully use the exercise to its fullest extent. I don't know that there's anybody alive that I would want to talk to that I can't already, I guess. So yeah, because I feel like anybody that's like famous and well known is probably like too rich to even have like a normal conversation with anyway. So I put Carlin, obviously, George Carlin, my favorite comic, and I was fortunate enough to get to see him while he was still alive. I think he's brilliant. I think that guy helped teach me to think, which doesn't sound like a thing that you would need, but I took from him, I think, keeping an open mind and not trusting, just not just taking whoever's word for it, the government, the institution, the powers that be, the rich people. Lovecraft and Vonnegut as well. Only one person you could think of: Gary Gygax, Tolkien, and C.S. Lewis. Carlin for sure, because I would want to talk to him about the current state of things. I think that if Carlin were alive now, I don't even know if he would do comedy. I feel like he might be so depressed that he just like wouldn't be doing it these days, because things are just they're just so much crazier, or at least seemingly so, because we're all connected now. Would love to sit and chat with Robin Williams. Amazing man and such a legend. Yeah, for sure. Poor Robin. And Shakespeare is on the list because I'd like to talk to him about storytelling and just like the devices of storytelling. Yeah, now I'm sorry. Now I'm a little concerned and thrown off because I'm not sure what order the questions are in, but I guess we're going to find out. And then my dad. I put my dad just to talk about anything. Miss you, Dad. Hug and kiss your dad for Christmas, and tell him he's cool. That's what I would recommend everybody do. But those are my three: Carlin, Shakespeare, and my dad. And I think Shakespeare would be interesting to talk to just because he's from such a different time, but I feel like so many of the storytelling elements carry over, and if anything, like inspired others. I feel like so much of his stuff that he probably did inspired other people to do things. Plus, it would be cool to just like show him like Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. Be interesting. Just like show him the modern the Hamlet movie. So who are we saying we talk to? Well, it's not necessarily a talk to with a speak with a dead spell so much as it's if I could spend a day with someone, dead or alive. And so talk with speak with dead. Oh, hey Mom. Yeah. Well, I think that he would want me to keep doing what I've been doing. So that's inspirational enough for me. Jack the Ripper. Finally figure out the mystery of who he is. Yeah. That's an interesting one because it's a thing where you would pretty much, immediately you would know who it was and be like, whoa, it was you? We don't have any lost years. Sorry about that, Ruby. J.D. Salinger. J.D. Salinger. What is J.D. Salinger? Catcher in the Rye? Also like to talk with my father again. He left sooner than expected. Sorry to hear that. Yeah. I think the holidays, too, are just... that's the thing. It's just about appreciating what you have while you have it. It's all we can do. Then family like pick Jerry Goldsmith and James Horner, two incredible composers. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know about living. Maybe it'd be cool to talk to somebody like Andre 3000 or Rick Rubin. That dude would be really cool to talk to. I actually just saw a thing with him. It was like an interview. And Rick Rubin, for anyone who doesn't know, is like a huge producer. You might not know him if you saw him, but he's produced a lot of your favorite music. And Rick Rubin was given this recent interview where he was talking about art and about what you put into it and how to make it. And he was like, the thing is that you need to make something for you, not for other people. And the more that you stay true to making it for yourself, then the more other people will pick up on that and appreciate that. That's why all the movies at the movie place suck, because it's just companies trying to make money. I was just talking about this with Melissa today at the shoot. I feel like in the 80s, there was like this kind of perfect marriage of like corporations that wanted to make money and then artists who were producing and creating things that they really loved. And so as a result, you had all this cool stuff. And maybe that's just nostalgia looking back on it, but I feel like now it's just everything is just it's a means to an end. It's just produce the thing and make the money. Put the next Marvel 15, Ant-Man Part 6. Let's go. People love it. Let's make Batman again. So, but I think the good news on that end is that at least from like an independent artist standpoint, I think that more of us are making things now. And I will say this. Here's my quote for the week. If you don't think that the OGL stuff had anything to do with Baldur's Gate 3 winning Game of the Year, I don't know what to tell you. Someone living would be Nicolas Cage. Oh, man, Nick Cage, he's an enigma, that guy. He's just so interesting. And then, isn't he in some new movie? Justin was telling me about it. Some new movie where he's like, he lives in people's dreams or something. Shareholders are responsible for a majority of that. Yeah, well, money's gonna money. Hey, Chris. Welcome. Mark Hamill seems like he would be a cool hang. Yeah, probably. Yeah, he seems like a pretty chill guy. Oh, man. Now I'm thinking of a bunch of people living that I'd want to spend time with, like Shaq. Oh, it would be so cool to hang out with Shaq or Snoop or... Man, now I'm like immediately running through all of the people that I would have wanted to have at my table. Well, I think one of the first questions of first episodes of this podcast, there was a question of my celebrity D&D table. And it was like Snoop and Shaq, and I think Kesha was on there. Man, now I can't remember who all was on there. But yeah, Nick Cage is kind of a weird guy. Patrick Stewart, John Williams. Talking about retiring about 3 or 4 more movies. Nick Cage, well, yeah, I don't know. I think we might have seen peak Nick Cage. I think peak Nick Cage was like Lord of War. He's so weird and interesting to me, that guy, because I feel like I either can't stand his performance or I think it's amazing. Like if you look at a movie like Lord of War versus like Con Air, or what's that one with the bees? The Witches or something. And, you look at something like Fear and Loathing. And, not Fear and Loathing, Leaving Las Vegas. The Wicker Man, that's what it's called. Yeah. But then he also does stuff like, I don't know, Raising Arizona is really good. My wife and I like that movie. We probably watch it like once a year. But I don't know. I feel like it's very hit or miss with him. Oh, but then he makes stuff like Face Off, and it's like, okay. Talk about a movie trapped in time. Like, that movie's so 1997, it doesn't hold up, I think, in any fashion. The Magician's Apprentice. Willy's Wonderland. I did not see it, and I really want to. Gone in 60 Seconds, Matchstick Men. Man, yeah, you forget about, like, he has a good amount of bangers, but... Yeah, but Face Off, but that's out of nostalgia, not because it's a good film. Trapped in Paradise. Well, what about that other one he did? Pig? Was that what it was called? That was pretty recent. All right. I don't know how we ended up spending so much time talking about Nick Cage. Let's move on to the next question. We're going to find out who it's from when I pull the slide up, apparently. So let's see. Okay. So this question is from Mel. And Mel asks, Love the videos. Please keep it up. As for my question, I'm not the best gift giver. Could you or chat offer some suggestions for unique and thoughtful homemade gifts to give during the holidays? Between Christmas, Hanukkah, and my sister's birthday, December is a tough month for someone who isn't a great gift giver. Well, thank you for the question, Mal. And I think this is the second night of Hanukkah. I think we're already in it. I'm pretty sure yesterday was the first day. But happy Hanukkah to all of our Jewish friends. And Merry Christmas isn't for a couple of weeks, so you've got some time to buy stuff. Let's see. Well, what do you think, chat? What do you think are some... So what I said was, the first thing that comes to my mind, and the reason it does is because I'm probably going to be doing this, is baked goods. Because baked goods are a great gift for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's pretty cheap to do. It's not that expensive to go to the store, get some like mix for cookies or cupcakes or fudge or whatever it is you're doing. Number two, it takes effort. So that's, and you know, I feel really good when somebody gives me baked goods. Whoa, what a great feeling. It's like, wow, how thoughtful. It's a very thoughtful gift because it takes effort. And then also, like, nobody in the history of ever on Christmas has been like, no cookies for me. So it's a pretty fail-safe gift way of getting things. Yeah, River said baked goods as well. Let's see what chat's saying. If you can construct things, you could always build your own dice towers. Homemade candles are fun, interesting, and useful, especially if you live in an area that has power outages. Art, if you have a talent. Yeah, that's true. Today's the first day of Hanukkah. Oh, okay. Depends on your skill set and what tools you have available. I always make cookies and Christmas cards, sometimes a woodworking or leather project. Snow globe engraved with her name. You can get one in any type of location or character she might like. Oh, yeah, snow globes are fun. Alton Brown has a super easy fudge recipe that people will love. So there you go. Google Alton Brown fudge recipe. Tiramisu cake. I actually like to bake. And I feel like it's a thing that I don't necessarily have like a natural affinity for or I'm drawn to. But I do like doing it. And I'll probably be doing it a lot for the holidays because your boy's broke. It's been a tough year. So people are getting cookies and stuff from me. My favorite Christmas gift is something like cookies. I'm often alone on Christmas, and after parties and sitting playing game, having a little box of cookies I don't have to share is perfect. Oh, well, sorry to hear that you're often alone on Christmas, Ringo, but hey, cookies are always good. I joked about it a couple of years ago, and I still feel this way. Cookies, if somebody just kept handing me cookies, I would just keep eating them, especially if they were like sugar cookies. Forget about it, dude. It's a problem. I make myself sick because they're just so good. You can just keep eating them. Someone say tiramisu. Christmas coffee, all different coffees with holiday flavors. Yes. And I said that I made a note that the thought is the most important thing, which I do believe. I think that I've talked about how growing up, I wasn't the biggest Christmas fan, but I've become more of a Christmas fan, and I actually get a lot of enjoyment out of giving, out of gifting, so that's why I like it, and I genuinely do believe that the thought is more important, because, like, I've seen some cheap gifts win Christmas. I've seen some cool stuff. You know what's a cool gift? You can find it on Amazon, too, because I'm sure a bunch of companies make them, but it's essentially this little, like, birthday tracker for the family. So it's just like this board, and it has a list of all of the months, and then there are little tags that you can hook on to the months with the day number and the name of the person whose birthday it is. And so if you have a big family, then it helps you keep track of everybody's birthday. Those things are like $20. But what an awesome gift. I think that, I don't remember when we got ours, but it was one of the coolest gifts we got that year. Because it's something that's cool and practical and something you could use throughout the year. Like a calendar. Calendars aren't that expensive. And then practical gifts, I said. Like something that somebody needs anyway. Which I tend to find, I find myself asking for. Usually when people ask me what I want for gifts, I'm like, I don't know, socks, a shirt, some water, something that I need and I'm going to use. Pecan Sandies. Welcome, Jay. Not homemade, but my go-to is usually a bottle of booze. I know they'll like it or is entertainingly weird. Give a like for Christmas. Yes, please. If you're here, don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Oh, and also, I meant to note this at the top of the podcast, and I didn't. Man, I don't know why I'm forgetting that. First of all, a big thanks to all of our members, patrons, super chatters, and then also a reminder to like, comment, subscribe. Sign up for notifications so that YouTube shows you our videos. If you don't have notifications turned on, YouTube will not show you our videos. I found that out recently. So please turn on the bell for notifications and rate the podcast on your respective platforms. So, Mom's favorite present for me was a poem. Oh yeah, poem's good. Some girl did that on The Golden Bachelor this season. When they did the talent show, she just wrote a poem. And it wasn't even that good. But you know what was good about it? It's an effort. It was thoughtful. And she recited it in everybody. She recited it in front of everybody, which is not easy to do. So yeah, that's something that's easy. Even if it's just like a card with just like a little poem and just like, write somebody a note about what they mean to you. That kind of stuff matters. People remember that kind of stuff. Sugar cookies are total. Yeah, I agree. Sugar cookies are a problem. It's been that kind of week. What kind of week? Cognitive fog. You can always purchase your friends and family a copy of Organized Lightning. That is true. It is available everywhere you listen to music. So go and check that out. Also, by the way, I've been seeing a lot of this stuff going around on TikTok and just the internet in general about how oh man, artists don't get paid for Spotify. And first of all, you have to come up from a relative perspective, right? Because I saw this one with Weird Al where he was joking about well, I had 3 billion streams last year, so I made $30, and it's you probably made $300K. Which for you is probably not that good because you're used to making $3 million for the year. But you probably made $300K. So I guess what I'm saying is, don't let any of that stuff keep you from listening to my music on Spotify thinking that I don't get paid from that, because for normal people, Spotify, sure, obviously it could be better. But I mean, I think considering money's money. So don't see one of these videos that's oh man, it turns out Snoop Dogg only made $500,000 instead of $1 million, and so that means Spotify doesn't pay its artists. It's that's not necessarily true. Spotify, I think, for what it is and for what it could be, I think it's pretty good. There are plenty of us independent artists who make money on Spotify, so please keep listening there. But you are welcome to purchase it. I think that you can just buy the album outright on places like Apple or Amazon. I don't know how all of the platforms work these days, but yeah, streaming music is always good. I don't know why there's this new idea of oh, you know how to support an artist, don't stream their music, but please stream my music if you like my music, because I do get paid for that. And it is money that's helpful for bills and stuff. So, all right. Moving right along. We have 2 more questions, and then we'll do some chat. I want to talk about some characters and stuff this week. But the next question should be from Justin. We thought that the original one was from Justin, but it turned out that was Amanda's question. But this one should be Justin's. Yes, Justin asks, "Hey Yaz, found your music a few years ago, and I'm still catching up on bardadvice. I had a question about your lyrics. As you know, many of your raps are very fast, and and sometimes I miss some words. I still have the lyric book from Attack of Opportunity. Any chance you could make those for Join the Party and Organized Lightning? P.S. Love the new album. My favorites are Spirited, Charge, and Off Center. Thank you." Well, thank you, Justin, and I'm glad that you enjoy the album. So I wanted to do this question because it is something that I hear often, And I just wanted to go ahead and address it on a public forum that I do hear you. You are not alone in pointing this out, as well as requesting lyrics. I am in the process of doing that. I have put together a video that is the full album in one piece, which I do plan on releasing on my Yazik channel. I have linked in the description of this video the PDF that is for the lyrics to Attack of Opportunity. And if you weren't already aware, I do have lyric videos for all of the songs from Attack of Opportunity on the Mann Shorts channel. All of that's to say, I do intend on my Yazik channel releasing full-length lyric videos for Join the Party as well as Organized Lightning. So I'm going to be working on it. A lyric book would honestly be nice. Yeah, I know. I really miss those days too. That was some of my favorite parts about CDs, was like the lyric books. And even if they didn't have lyrics and it was just like, you know, the insert booklet, I don't know, some of those were really cool. One of your favorite independent artists, Adam Jensen, has been making a killing through Spotify. Yeah, I think that like certainly like very, very wealthy artists are probably taking a hit, just like overall, because, you know, the cost per stream has gone down or whatever. But there's plenty of money on the table for us independent artists. Do you get paid better for a YouTube view or Spotify listen as far as music? It's probably about the same, to be honest. Actually, I probably get paid more on Spotify because I don't think that I've fully gotten back my monetization capability on my Yazik channel yet. I have thought about releasing a physical form CD or vinyl. I've got to look into what the cost on that might be. And I guess I can look at it through my distributor, because I think DistroKid probably has like partners with people where you can just go and do physical copies. So you're also not the only person that's ever asked that. So I was watching a 2-hour video ranking every D&D video game. Apparently there's 69. Whoa. That's insane. Oh, well, that makes me happy, Ruby. I'm glad that you enjoy the music. Official lyric books are cool because then you know it's probably accurate. Yeah. And also, you definitely know that with me because I make them myself, right? So like any of those lyric books, if there are any issues in them for lyrics, it's typos. It's not because I know what the words are. So I'm going to work on those. So the short answer is that there are plans to make them, and I'm going to make them. You know, there were physical copies of the Attack of Opportunity album. I might still have a couple of those somewhere. But yeah, I've noticed that with the increase of everything going digital, not only in the new generation, but even people among my own generation, there's a lot more value for physical copies of things. The only question comes to the cost of production and as to whether or not it would be worth it. Because it's like, well, if I'm going to spend X amount of money to get them produced, then we've got to be able to know that we'll sell enough to make that back. Oh, well, thank you very much, Amanda, for the donation. To get a physical copy of Organized Lightning. Thank you. I will definitely look into it tonight. Because I'm going to be working on the lyrics and stuff as well. So should raffle the AOO copies off of Christmas gifts. If I find them, I'll probably just send them out. Downloads and waiver MP3. I'm pretty sure everything is MP3. Pretty sure all of the stuff on distro is MP3 because it's the easiest for it. Was another band I supported back years ago, had a pre-release version of their CD that had lyrics wrong before they had to re-record to fix it. Wow. Christmas comp for a copy of Organized Lightning. So and I'm also thinking about at least making one song and maybe next year releasing a full album of D&D like Christmas parodies, because that's something that I've wanted to do for a while. And we'll also talk about it a little bit later about the characters, because that's a project that I want to embark on and wanted to see if any of the bar dads would be interested in helping contribute to that as well. Yes, I will look also for physical copies. If I have any, my wife knows where they are, so we can find them that way. All right, so moving on, we have one last question that is actually a story and then a question. And I think that it might be our first four slate or 4-page question. But it is a cool, fun story, and we will get into that now before we then get into the end where we talk about chat and stuff. So this last story / question, and by the way, feel free to send in any stories to bardadvice@gmail.com, whether it's a funny holiday story or a story about something that happened in your D&D game, etc. Those are welcome as well, not just questions. So bardadvice@gmail.com. All right, this next one, it's from Mike. So here we go. Mike sends, "Hey Bard, I'm sending this story because of 2 things you mentioned in episode 36. First being drinking and holidays. Second being to send in random stories. So here's my random story about holiday drinking. Many years ago, my parents decided I was old enough to stay up on Christmas Eve and help with being Santa for my little sister. My uncle was also invited to help. Sometime around midnight, I was the only sober person awake, watching 3 very happy adults. My sister's big present that year was one of those portable basketball hoops with the plastic base that you fill with water or sand to keep it from falling over. At its shortest, it was around 8 feet tall, and these adults, in their inebriation, had decided to put this together in the basement of the house." Oh man, this is totally something that would happen in my family. "After an hour spent putting it together, they then tried to take it up the stairs, which had a sharp turn and not nearly enough room to fit." And my mind immediately goes to the pivot scene in Friends. "It took them another hour to take it apart again, between fits of giggles. My sister woke up to find her present in pieces under the tree with a note from Santa saying, 'Sorry, I couldn't put it together. Your dad and uncle will help with it in the morning.' To this day, it's one of my favorite memories of my childhood. Do you have any favorite childhood Christmas memories?" Well, thank you for the entertaining story, Mike. That's really funny. And again, totally something my family would do and maybe has done. Just goofy stuff where you're not thinking, and it's like, okay, we'll put it together down in the basement where no one can see. And then it's like, yeah, but then how are you going to get it up there? And of course, if like if everybody's having fun and drinking, like nobody's thinking about that stuff until it's too late. So yeah, that kind of stuff's funny. So as I've mentioned ad nauseum, I think at this point, I was never really a big fan of Christmas, so I don't have necessarily any like specific fond memories of Christmas, but I guess I do have a couple. So one of the things, and it's not necessarily a specific memory so much as it's just kind of like a trope that I've come to expect on Christmas, is that my grandmother, on my mother's side, my mother's mother, she doesn't label gifts properly. And a lot of times, she doesn't label them at all. They just get wrapped, and then it's like, we'll figure it out on Christmas. And so when I was young, when we lived in Live Oak, I opened a present that was for my grandfather. So it was for my grandmother's husband. And she'd gotten him this shirt that said, what did it say? It was like, I like fast cars, cold beer, and hot women or something. And I was like 6. So I remember opening it and just kind of like looking at it and being like, what is this? And it's just funny because, we don't know who's what. And like, it could be labeled from last year, or it could have just been mislabeled, or it could have no label at all. So that's just like, well, I guess open it up and see what it is. And then that'll determine who it's for. I also have memories of helping the adults with Christmas and helping do Santa for my cousins. My younger cousins, and that was cool stuff because I didn't have any siblings. I was an only child, so it was nice that I was able to do that in spite of the fact I didn't have siblings. There was at least one year I know for sure of, at least, that I was able to like help participate in doing the Christmas, so that's really fun. My earliest Christmas memory was when I was 5 and got an original NES. Whoa. So excited I cried. We got it all set up and popped up boxes and played Duck Hunt for hours and hours. Man, I played so much Excite Bike when I was a kid. Have to be the Christmas after Hurricane Andrew when we've given like 3 truckloads of gifts. Imagine the Toys for Tots trucks pulls up and unloads. Wow. Got a dust mop from Santa when I was 6 or 7. Such an odd gift. And to this day, my mother swears I asked for one. Yeah, no shot. That must have been from somebody else. After 20 years ago, or about 20 years ago, at my aunt's for Christmas Eve, I got a dress intended for my second cousin, which I rewrapped poorly for comedic effect. Never did what was supposed to buy my gift. A vacuum cleaner for Christmas. That's a gift. I've gotten my wife a vacuum for Christmas one year. My name would tell you, a vacuum's a practical gift. It's a necessary thing. And it falls into that category we were talking about earlier, although it doesn't really fall into the cheap category. My nan would take time to wrap presents in interesting ways, so I had no idea what the shape of the present. Yeah, sometimes that's annoying. One time my uncle and and his family got me a gift, and it was like a keychain, but they wrapped it in such a way that it looked like this giant thing, and so I just had to like spend the time unraveling it. I don't know. Funniest one was a long time ago. My brother was really into yo-yos one year. My parents got him some really expensive one. They ended up forgetting where they hid it. Oh, no. 6 years ago when they were packing to move, they found it hidden in a drawer in the kitchen, all dusted and moldy. That sucks. I'm an only child, too, so I did the same thing, helped set up stuff for younger cousins. Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're an only child and you have cousins, those are like your siblings. Most of my Christmases were good, but samey, except one year when I wanted to sleep late because I stayed up playing video games. Mom wanted to get me up for gifts at 7 a.m. Wow. Usually it's kids that are wanting to get up early, right? If I had kids on Christmas, I would want to sleep in. White elephant gift of 50 yards of bubble wrap. And then another quick funny story I wanted to add was a year that we were in North Carolina with my mother's father, and he was really funny. He's since passed on, but we went to do this little celebration thing down at this little town in this small town in North Carolina, and we went down to like the town square where they were like lighting the Christmas tree, and there was a Santa Claus who was like talking to everybody, and it was kind of cold and miserable and like just. I don't know. We just kind of wanted. I certainly was checked out and wanted to go back. And my grandfather was like, when Santa was giving his speech or whatever, my grandfather was like, "Bite me, Santa." Oh man, it was just so funny. I just like died laughing. And then of course his wife, my grandmother, was like really upset. She was like, "Don't say that." But it was just funny because it was like I appreciate that sentiment, and you know, it was just like all this stuff's supposed to be cheery, and everybody's kind of miserable. It's like dreary. Just want to go home. Boxception is a fun way to wrap box inside a box inside a box inside a box. My sister actually perfected her lockpicking skills and would sneak a peek at our gifts. Whoa. That's like totally Louise from Bob's Burgers. You don't consider my gifts wrapped unless it takes 10 to 15 minutes to open, or 5 to 10 minutes to open. No way. Miss me with that. If you're going to give me a gift that takes more than like 20 seconds to open, I don't want it. How about that? Woke my kids up at 4 a.m. to open presents before he went to work. Whoa. Well, that's different. If you got to go to work, God, you got to work on Christmas? Sorry to hear that. One year, my brother got caught putting keys back after us figuring out the present hiding spot and peeking. My parents exchanged most of the gifts. How did they even have time and energy for that? That's crazy. Good on them, though. Did the boxception to a now former friend once, and he got legitimately mad as hell about it. I don't know if I would be legitimately angry, but I would be like, come on, dude. Like, I don't know. It's just a little annoying. But as I mentioned, like I like gifting. If not just because like I think it's a cool way to show people. It's an interesting way to show people what you think of them, or at least like what they make you think of them. Right? Yeah. It just kind of shows like, and just the fact that you are thinking of them, I think is like most of the goal anyway. So when your mother-in-law opens a gift, she always Wants to save the paper, so it takes forever for each gift. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've seen that kind of stuff before. My granny was always forgetful, and one year when I was a teen, she bought me a clown on a swing. Whoa. I'm terrified. I'm scared of clowns, too. My parents found it hilarious and hung it in the living room. Whoa. That's trauma. I don't do well with clowns either. What are they hiding? That's my thing. Like mimes, too. What's going on? You're an entertainer, but you won't show your face? I have questions. I don't trust it. Give a box of packing peanuts for Christmas and watch them dig for something in it. That's just cruel. I've gone as far one year to get my parents to give one a screwdriver and a stocking and the other socket and ratchet so they could get out the screws I used to nail in a wooden box shut. A buddy of mine did the boxception thing to me for my birthday. Except the first box I opened wasn't the real gift, so I had to do it twice. He wrapped it in strips of packing tape. Yeah, I think chlorophobia is pretty common. That's what it's called, by the way. Chlorophobia, fear of clowns. Pretty common. I don't know if it was brought on to me by me being forced to be in a room full of them, or if it was just exacerbated by that. And I will say, like, I'm a lot better about it now. But then again, I don't, like, see clowns up close a lot. You don't run into them a lot. So, like, I feel like if I did, I might have, it might manifest itself more. But definitely make me uncomfortable for sure. A mime is a terrible thing to waste. Ron's dad always used color comics for the newspaper to wrap gifts. Yeah, I've seen that too. We've done that. I've seen that before. Heard someone say the community reflects on the channel owner, which says great things about Chaz and his crew. Wow, that's very nice of you, Duncan. This is a great community. I think this is really cool. I think we've built something really fun and interesting here, and like I enjoy doing this. You know, some weeks obviously are easier than others, and I think maybe we were off to a little bit of a bumpy start today, but I think it's panned out nicely. And yeah, I enjoy this. This is a cool community. One year I did boxception to my teen son, and 15 boxes deep, it was a rock for his tortoise. In the terrarium was a $100 gift card, though. Oh, wow, that's cool. But he didn't find it for a couple of days. Well, you just let him walk around for several days without his gift card? Man, if my parents had ever tried to, like, hide something, I never would have found it. It would have been like the yo-yo, except that they didn't forget where it was. They just, like, hid it and, like, didn't give it to me unless I found it. I'd never find it. Clowns are the most honest entertainers. They find their houses so they can drop the mask. Actors are the ones lying to your face. Well, I mean, that's what actors are. Acting. Was anyone a fan of the web series Standard Action? I've not heard of it. IRC clowns originated in the Catholic Church hundreds of years ago. Something about death, so no wonder they're scary. Clowns and quicksands are two fears I thought I would encounter more often than I have. Well, certainly clowns, not quicksand. I wonder what you'd be more likely to run into. As a parent, we convinced after years of milk and cookies the kids that Santa actually preferred a snifter of fine bourbon and a little board of Jesus. That's awesome. That's the way to do it. Yeah, Janie, we've discovered that Santa actually loves charcuterie. He's super into, like, prosciutto and, like, wines. So maybe not milk and cookies this year. We'll do something else. I remember going to a mall and considering shooting a picture to a coworker who hated clowns. A clown convention? Oh, talk about terrifying. That might actually genuinely really freak me out if that happened. If I was just, like, somewhere. First of all, I'd have to be at a mall, which is, like, incredibly unlikely. But if I were at a mall and there was, like, a clown convention, I would definitely be freaked out. Alrighty. So, looks like we're headed into chat because we're out of questions. And I've got a couple of things that I want to talk about this week. I'd be interested to hear what y'all's opinions are. First of all, I'd like to speak about it and just go ahead and get it out of the way before we get too deep into other stuff. Because I know that not everybody's a sports ball fan, but I'd just like to talk a little bit about the Jags. Now, obviously, we've had an unfortunate injury with Trevor. Thankfully, it's a high ankle sprain, which means that the season is not completely over. I don't know that he'll return for the regular season, but I certainly hope that if we can indeed make the playoffs, that he returns then. We are still at the top of our division, albeit by one game. And I think we're looking, at the moment, we're sitting at the 5th seed, but there's still a lot of football left to play, a lot of things that could happen. Who knows? As I said, very, very thankful that it wasn't a worse scenario for Trevor. I don't know what the deal is with injuries this year across the board, not just with us, but it's just frustrating because, the thing that happened with Trevor is that ultimately, and obviously it was an accident. You can't say that this guy did it on purpose. It's certainly not his fault in the strictest sense because it's not like he did it maliciously or on purpose. But his lineman, Walker Little, stepped on him. And, he's a lineman, so he's definitely not little. But the thing with that is he's not even supposed to be there, that guy, Walker Little. He's only there because Cam Robinson is hurt. So it's just kind of unfortunate across the board for us. How many Achilles? I know. It's such a shame. Tank Dell's season's over. I was talking to my buddy Alex recently because he's a Steelers fan, which, by the way, tough loss if you're a Steelers fan last night. But I was saying to him, I was like, Lamar is the only starting quarterback left in y'all's division. Right? Because Deshaun Watson's hurt, and he's done. Joe Burrow's hurt, he's done. Kenny Pickett's hurt, he's done. So the only starting quarterback, at least that began the season, is Lamar Jackson, which is super bizarre because, he's injury prone. So it's like, what is going on? Jags are impressive this year. Love your Chiefs, but they aren't playing like they deserve to go to the bowl this year. I'll tell you what the problem is with the Chiefs. He doesn't have anybody to throw to. Obviously he's got Travis Kelce, but he needs another weapon at wideout, and I just don't see. If you can lock down Travis, you can kind of lock down their offense just because it's like dudes can't catch the ball or dudes fumble the ball. I will say I watched the tail end of that Chiefs Green Bay game last week, and that was really crazy. There were the last 4 minutes of the game was really nuts when it comes to in my opinion, calls that should have happened but didn't, and or calls that didn't happen but should have. Cowboys playing the Eagles Sunday. Worried about this one. The Eagles are leading in our division right above us. You're a Cowboys fan? Cowboys looking good. Dak might win MVP. It's going to be an FSU situation. They aren't going to get in because they're... Oh, man. That's so funny, Pirate. Actually, I was saying that, too, to my buddy Alex. I was like, oh, well, Trevor Lawrence is hurt. I guess that means that we're mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. I'm not an FSU fan, so I'm not going to get on my soapbox and talk about that, how they were just totally disrespected. But I do think that it says a lot about the committee for college football and where it is, because I was always of the opinion that the whole reason we started this playoff was because we have situations like this year where we have several teams that have an argument for being there. I don't see how Texas is there, other than because they beat Alabama. And I don't see why Alabama's there, other than that they beat Georgia. But it just goes to show you, I think, that record doesn't really matter. And people are all upset and they're like, oh, well, so record doesn't matter. And it's clearly not. Anyone see the major BS with OSU pulled with the Longhorn? No, I didn't. Although I did hear that the ACC was one of the conferences, if not the only conference, that voted against expanding the playoff a couple of years ago. So this very well could be retribution from that, which would be kind of nuts. I know that one of our senators has sent a letter saying that they're going to sue him, or at least saying that he wants them to come before Congress or something and explain be transparent about the decision making. But I got to tell you, even if they're transparent about the decision making, I don't think you're going to be happy, because it's going to be things like, well, I went to Alabama, so I wanted Alabama to be there. It's really that simple. I think it's just a bunch of old money. A lot of these schools have like just billions just sitting in endowment funds, not doing anything. Side note for those out of the sports loop like me, don't forget to like the stream. Oh, yes, thank you very much. So please like the stream, like the video. It's very helpful for the algorithm. All right. So let's talk about other things that aren't sports, nerd stuff. Let's talk about characters. So last week, remember, we had a question regarding a necromancer that was played a little bit different than your average necromancer. And it got me thinking. Also, there's this guy on TikTok named Mr. Dandy DM, and he's holding a character creation contest this month that I entered with this character that I came up with. So I kind of combined the idea of a character that I was kind of already thinking about with this necromancer detective. So I've made him and would like to show you guys I did some AI art quickly before the show for Rupert Icarus Puzzlebeak. Rupert Icarus Puzzlebeak is a Kinku necromancy detective, which is to say that he uses necromancy to solve crimes. He comes from a long line of gumshoes. His great-great-grandfather actually discovered that the spell Speak with Dead is very helpful in solving murder cases. And so now Rupert Icarus Puzzlebeak, known by his friends as Rip, uses necromancy to solve crimes. So what a cool guy. And while we're on the topic of characters, and I would say too that if you are out there and you would like to submit a character, because I'm in the process of putting together a book of characters. I'm not sure what I'm going to call it, but it's a supplemental book. It's going to have at least 150 characters in it, 100 of which are homebrew and 50 of which are, well, it's all going to be homebrew, but 100 of which I should say are completely original characters, and then 50 of which are based off of existing properties. They're kind of like copyright-friendly versions of. So all of that's to say, if you have a character that you'd like me to discuss on the podcast, send it over to bardadvice@gmail.com and we can do that. But yeah, that's Rupert Icarus Puzzlebeak. And then while we're at it, I did make a little bit of a prototype for Flim Flam in Baldur's Gate 3. I'm not sure if anybody remembers our Flim Flam character from Oblivion, but eventually I would like to, here soon at some point, I want to start streaming with Baldur's Gate 3 and from the very beginning. And so I'm trying to get an idea of what Flim Flam will look like. Just wanted to give everybody kind of a first glance. It might not be that might not be the final version of Flim Flam, but that's certainly the direction that we're going to be going. And he is a monk, so that's going to be real fun. And Justin wants to play a character named Razzle Dazzle, and I don't know what he's going to do. What happened to you and Justin just making character build shorts? It's just too much. To be completely honest, it's just too much work throughout the week. I just don't have enough time to do it, so I'd do it more. You have a submission for you that will... Yes. Yeah. So for anybody that doesn't know, and I think I talked about this briefly before, but I'm going to be making a supplement of characters. So the idea is to make 150 total characters. And so it'll be separated into like 3 main sections. The first of which will be it'll just be kind of a list of all of the characters and just kind of simple info about them. So it'll be like name, recommended class, their +2, +1, their race, any like recommended alignment, and then maybe a small little backstory. And then the next section would be the actual sheets. And so the idea for the book is that it's for 3 types of people. It's for brand new players because it gives them a wealth of options to choose from in just being able to plug into a game. So they don't necessarily just have to take like one of the 4 that's included in the module or whatever. They could just like have a whole book where they could just grab one and plug it in. It's also, I think, very helpful for existing players who want to try something new but don't feel like building something all the way out. So it's just like, oh man, I'd really love to play as a wizard, or I'd really love to play as like a warlock bard, but I don't want to build it out. And it's like, oh well, you could just use Studebaker Peppercorn then. And then I think it would also be really good for dungeon masters because it's easy peasy for grabbing NPCs that are actually even more fully fleshed out than you would probably get elsewhere, right? So like even with just the basic data, but the fact of having the sheets is great for the DM because they could just run in there and be like, oh, I'm going to just grab this guy. So all of that's to say, I have about 40 of the 100, because it's 150 characters total. 100 of them are going to be completely original homebrew, and then there's going to be 50 that are like based off of, different stuff like characters from like anime or like existing properties. And again, copyright friendly versions of. But all of that's to say, like, I still need characters for it. So if you'd like to contribute to that and be a part of that, send them over. I'm going to try and figure out putting together something for like a Kickstarter for that because it's something that I really want to do. Is one allowed to stream the solo adventures from Trolls and Tunnels? I am not familiar. Also for fans for Chaz who want to add an element of Chaz and friends in their game. Yeah, that's true because a lot of the characters that I've written down are, 15 of them are peppercorns. But there's also like every character that we've run in the We Play. So like Verina's in there, Augustus Montgomery's in there, and Tantor Mantar, pretty much everybody from those. Studebaker, obviously. So, yeah. Is it okay if we contribute teams or does individual characters? Send what you want to. I can muddle. I can go through it and we can figure it out. And also, like in the Discord, let's talk about that because, we need some more characters. Yeah, there's at least 15 peppercorns. All right, and then what else did I want to talk about in chat while we're here? Oh, Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the Year. We already were talking about Baldur's Gate 3 earlier and how fun that is. But yeah, they won Game of the Year, which I'm not too shocked about. Maybe it's a little bit surprising, but I mean, it's just so good. Like, I don't know what else you would have given it to. And also, we got the trailer for GTA 6, which looks great. It appears that I was... It seems that I was right at least about what I had seen about the map. It looks like it's just the bottom of Florida. So, I mean, totally a thing for for Grand Theft Auto. I will say it's going to be annoying to have to listen to people complain about the female main character for the next 10 years because that's already starting. I don't know what the problem is there. Like there's always been playable characters. And then, of course, with GTA Online, you could do whatever you wanted. So I don't know what people's beef is, other than the fact that I guess that there's a main character that's a woman. I don't know what the deal is. I'm excited. I think it's going to be lit. I think it looks really, really good. And it's starting to freak me out, honestly, like how real stuff is looking. Like, we're getting real close to not being able to tell. And maybe that's because I'm getting older, but I think it's also because of just technology, like, really starting to look real. Not surprising. Tears of the Kingdom was meh. That was its only competition. Oh, yeah, well, yeah, I guess that's true. Night and Merry Christmas. Oh, well, good night, Duncan. Good night, everybody. And, yes, there is the link to the Discord that's been put there. Thanks, River. Oh, and while we're at it, like, talking about Baldur's Gate 3, Neil Newbon, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, Newbon, won for Asterian's voice, which, not surprising. Great performance. But hey, Larian, I'll do voices for you. I'll do voices for the game. You want to add some content? You want to add Studebaker Peppercorn in there? I gotcha. Could definitely do the voices for that. All right, well, we are here at the end, gang. How did that happen? Again, every week just goes by faster and faster. And we're approaching Christmas at a breakneck speed. So, before we get out of here, let's remind everybody, as we like to do, of the email, which is bardadvice@gmail.com. If you'd like to send any questions, complaints, criticisms, critiques, characters, send them over to bardadvice@gmail.com. It also looks like bardadvice. if you want to contribute to anything that I'm doing musically, you can do so via PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo, all of which are Yazik, Yahzick. And if you want to get merch, you can do so at manshorts.com. Dice are coming. It looks like it's going to be after Christmas. It looks like it's probably going to be like January, early to mid-January. So a little delayed, unfortunately, but they are coming. And so I've been working closely with Kraken to make some really cool designs for like the boxes and the cards, and I think it's going to be worth the wait. I'm really excited for that. And more music. I just put out a third album. I'll work on more. I've actually been working on more. I've been doing more like collab stuff now that I finally got the album done. So, all right. Well, I think that's it for us, gang. I hope that everybody has a fantastic weekend. Just a reminder, we will be back here next week, same Bard time, same Bard channel, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Man Shorts YouTube channel. The audio for this podcast will be made available tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do hope that everybody has a fantastic weekend. I look forward to seeing you next week,